this June 4th through 6th edition of Show Business. I come to you, as always, as CP.
And from the horror show and Fuego Tainment, Jaime and Fuego here.
And for my 2 cents of nonsense, I'm Lindsey. What up?
And hi, I'm Chauncey K. Robinson, a Twisted Woman CKR.
Awesome.
Woo.
Full crew today. So we're all
yeah.
back. So I guess I'll go to the numbers real quick before we get started.
Please.
The weekend that was June 4th through 6th. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It came in first with 24 million. That also was on HBO Max. So that, small victory for the dual release standard. Second was Quiet Place 2 with 19.4 million. And third came Cruella with 11.2 million. Again, that's another one that's splitting with Disney at the moment. Disney Plus. Fourth was Spirit Untamed with 6.2 million. I'm not familiar with that movie, but
Yeah, it's an animated horse movie, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Oh, is that's a sequel or something, right?
I'm not sure. I saw trailers for it. That's about it. So.
And
I swear there was a movie about a horse and like escaping a train when I was a kid, but like I was like slightly too old to be interested in seeing it.
But you watched it anyway.
No, I never saw it. That's why I have no idea what it's called. Yeah. I saw the one with oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The live action one with Aragorn. What was that called? The race movie, the horse race movie.
Something Lusa. Oh goodness, I can't think of it. I'm not even gonna try.
No, I'm just trying to think of horse movies I saw. I got nothing.
It is a sequel. Jake in the chat says it's a sequel.
Oh.
Is my audio good? They're saying it's quiet.
It was a moment ago, but sounds good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And rounding out the top five, Raya and the Last Dragon with 1.1 million. So, The Conjuring was the big movie of the weekend, and I think we've all seen it, right? Everybody's seen it. Okay. So I'll start to my right because Chauncey had a video when it was just Lindsey and I last week. Chauncey already had her review up, so. Crack that head open and try to remember everything you can about The Conjuring, Chauncey. I know it's been a full week now.
Oh no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I would say that I thought it was probably I think it was on the level of the first one in a different kind of way. I know some people aren't the biggest fans of jump scares. This one definitely had a lot more jump scares than previous ones, but I think it was still in the same vein. It still had that underlying, the love of Ed and Lorraine going on there. And I think overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually more sinister, a little bit darker than the previous two, probably because it was a little less focused on a whole family and more about the Warrens a little bit more. So if you love their relationship, then I think you will love the fact that they take more of a center stage as opposed to kind of being there to help another family. Although there are other characters, but I think because of the fact that it's more focused on them, the new characters that are introduced, you don't get to know them as well, I think, as the previous two. So they're kind of, I'm not gonna say they're kind of there. I mean, they matter, but it's just not as in-depth as the previous two. But that's because it's sacrificed for more Ed and Lorraine in the center. And I think that's just them responding to fans, right? Because so many fans, there's so many memes of Ed and Lorraine relationship goals, at least movie version Ed and Lorraine. Because I know there's a whole controversy around, the non-movie them, but I don't care about that. So it's like,
Fuck real life.
Yeah, I like the two actors. I love their chemistry, and they created something really wonderful with that, dynamic. So I was happy to see them get more center stage. So I liked it. I thought it was better than the second one for sure. But that's not saying anything negative for me, because I thought the second one was pretty good, but the first one was better than the second one for me, and I definitely think the third one was better than the second one.
Okay.
That's quite. Conjuring 2 that's like the pseudo nun prequel, right? Is that what I'm thinking of? Is that?
The nun.
It did sow the seeds, yeah, and also Crooked Man. That they announced a spinoff of all about the Crooked Man.
Yeah, we never.
We don't even know if that's happening. So,
Fuego, why don't you take over and give us your thoughts?
Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed, to be honest, and I think that's because of the fact that the second, ironically, is actually my favorite in the franchise, and that's because I loved the dynamic of the London family and everything, and all the stuff that they dealt with there, and you didn't have they had tender moments, obviously, but nothing like Patrick Wilson, singing Elvis or anything of that nature. So, and I felt like the pace of the film, especially in the middle portion, dragged significantly. I expound upon it a lot more during our review on the horror show, but it was like, okay, let's take Lorraine here, and then Ed is like, what are you seeing? And then they go to another place and they're like, what are you seeing? And so I felt like the bookends of the film were strong. The opening is exceptional and very thrilling and very scary. But I just felt like until we got to the third act, the film just kind of dragged a bit for me. But I did like the focus on them, and their love story is very sweet. Vera and Patrick are terrific together, and I hope this is not the last time we see them, playing that dynamic together.
They kind of teased it there for a second too, with Ed. It was like, whoa, what's going on here? Don't do that.
Bad movie, bad.
Lindsey.
I've actually been a sucker for these movies. I really, really liked both of them. I wasn't crazy about the ending of the first one because it felt so fresh and new to me the entire time, and then the ending was just an Exorcist scene that kind of let me down a bit. But otherwise, I've loved both of them, and I really, really like the second one. I love Elvis singing. I loved how the second one's all about the concept of like a split family, like they just went through a messy divorce, and all the symbolism of the ghost is tied to things of the dad's chair, the remote, and yada yada yada. And honestly, I liked this one too. It was bigger, it was messier. And I really want to talk to the guy that edited it because it looked like he had an absolute blast using just every little trick that he could get away with. There was wipes, there was fades, there was needless mirror images of someone just going crazy for a second just for the sake of it. And then there's other scenes where they crank up the darkness and crank up the orange and just get these really creepy shots with just using light and things like that. I don't know.
The blacks were very deep in this movie. I noticed that myself.
I think it was Chauncey, you mentioned there was a lot of jump scares. I do agree with that, which was disappointing because there was also a lot of really quiet jump scares that really were effective. I think the best jump scare in the whole movie is there's a hand and it creepily disappears around behind a tree, and you're like, oh shit, something creepy is gonna jump out behind that tree and it's gonna be loud. And it's not that at all. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but what it is infinitely creepier, and the subversion of you thinking going to be really loud, and then it's just kind of this very subdued, quiet soundbite. It really got me. It was really good. And who was the creepy priest guy that was helping them out that knew about the cult?
I totally recognize him from so many things over the years, but I think he was on Fringe, I think, and lots of movies.
Yeah, he was on Fringe.
Yeah.
I feel like
very good.
I feel like when you have him in a movie, that was a little bit of a giveaway for people who maybe knew him in a way, because there's certain people that if you cast them in something, it's going to be significant. They're just not showing up just to show up for one bit. So that was a little bit okay, he's going to play a bigger factor in this somewhere later on. He's not just a reference point. So that kind of threw me off a little bit because I was like, okay, I can kind of tell that. Oh, go ahead, Lindsey. I don't know if you were finished or not.
No. I'm agreeing with you. The moment he showed up, I'm like, whoa, this dude is either the best under 5 ever, or he's got a really good
right? No, I was just I was like, he's gonna be something significant. This guy doesn't just show up for nothing. These type of things. So that was a little.
What was the movie that cast? I'm blanking on his name. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. Prince of Persia. When they cast what's his name as the surprise villain.
Oh, not. Yeah, sorry. I actually haven't even seen that movie, so I don't know who.
It doesn't matter. I can't think of the actor's name. He's huge. He was Gandhi.
Ben Kingsley?
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley. You cast Ben Kingsley, and he's got 3 lines, but then he's the surprise villain. But no, obviously he's the villain.
Right? It's you don't just bring him on for nothing.
Exactly.
Now, so I have to ask, guys, with James Wan having directed the previous 2, but then they bring in, I've heard his name pronounced Chavez or Chaves. I'm not sure how Michael likes it pronounced, but he was the director of The Curse of La Llorona. He was handpicked by Wan to direct this new one. did you guys see that different of a visual aesthetic? Because I mean, I felt like it was a little more like stutter editing and less of those like sweeping, just very cinematic sort of shots, especially that Juan did in Conjuring.
I'll agree with you there. Yeah.
I could kind of see a difference, but I mean, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
There was one shot when they first showing off the dog place that had that kind of James Wan-y feel to it, because it was a long tracking shot that went outside and back inside again. But nothing compared to that shot in the second Conjuring, where it's like going from room to room through like.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that's a great shot, man.
Indeed.
It's so good.
Well, I mean, it's noticeable. I mean,
yeah.
Fuego brought it up. James Wan certainly sticks around and lingers. Where, as you brought up earlier, Lindsey, there's a hell of a lot more going on in post with this latest iteration. So there's definitely a noticeable difference between the directing styles. Sorry, Lindsey, I stepped on you there.
No, it's fine. We're just having a conversation here. There's nothing to step on. We all liked the movie. We're just kind of just talking about different aspects of it now. Like,
so
it's
then
a discussion.
I noticed it. I definitely noticed it because I did enjoy like that. I mean, there's a thing in the first one where they're moving in and things like that. It's a whole thing, and they're following people into their rooms that they put. So I like that about Juan's version. I know I saw online some people were like, "Oh my gosh, I sorely missed the Juan's like directing and this," and I'm just like, like stop. Like it's not that it was worse. It's not. It was different. Yeah. You know, and it's so weird to me sometimes with film online where it's just like, if you want to point out something to sound better, it's like, oh my gosh, I totally missed the Juan, thing of it. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's different, but it wasn't worse, right? It was, right, I mean, there were some where
different.
And I found myself having to settle into it a little bit because there is a certain aesthetic that you get used to with the Conjuring franchise that you're like, okay, they're going to follow around. They don't kind of do that. And like, I think that was the same thing with the whole family dynamic too. Like I was so used to getting to know these other characters before the Warrens came in. And that was also missing. And that was also an aspect of the Conjuring. So it was definitely different. I still liked it. I still think he kept the suspense for sure. No, I don't think anything was lost for me.
Well, sure, it's a different approach altogether. Like you can do the tracking shot throughout the house, but then like there's one scene in for instance in the third one where Lorraine, the third one, she's checking like the I don't know what you call that. It's not a basement, but it's like under the floor.
Oh, the crawl space.
Crawl space, right. She's checking that, and we don't know what she's looking at. So we're out with Ed and the guy's girlfriend, and we don't know what she's looking at. And it's actually a change of pace. It's a nice change of pace. Like she screams, and you're like, oh, what's going on down there? And it just turns out to be a rat. Spoiler.
I also like the shot of them opening that up, the way they hung on it. Like, it made me chuckle. There was a bit of a comedic vibe to it. It's like, ooh, creepy crawl space, lots of cobwebs, ooh.
And that's actually something to piggyback on is I felt like there was more humor in this than pretty much any of the previous installments, or at least as far as like audience interaction when I was at the theater for the press screening and people were laughing but less like jumping and like people being scared. I think at least with my audience, they didn't seem like they were as scared as in some of the previous installments, even the Annabelle movies. So
yeah,
I haven't seen any of those yet.
Annabelle Creation is one of the best. Annabelle Creation is, to me, probably the best of the universe. But
really,
honestly, skip the first Annabelle movie and watch and I like the third one too. Annabelle Comes Home. Just watch both.
Oh yeah, Annabelle Comes Home is good too. Yeah, although that felt more like a Goosebumps.
It did. It definitely did.
Yeah, and it was like Conjuring 2.5 anyway. I know Cecil, shout out to him. He was a bigger fan of the third Annabelle film than he was this most recent Conjuring. But I think I like this better than the third Annabelle personally. So.
Well, I think the end of the third Annabelle, like even as crazy as it got, because it's I get spoilers. It's all the stuff in the Warrens' room at the same time, which is such a great concept. But it was tighter. Where this one was like. It was bigger and it had so many places to go. They the pace was a little breakneck for the first act. I kind of it was a little jarring. I thought it was gonna be a bunch of cases after they got the kid, but spoilers.
I thought there was gonna be more of a courtroom aspect. That was one of the things
I thought too.
I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy it didn't go that route though.
Well, yeah, they have to skip over the fact that the guy actually got convicted because that doesn't
and
help
also, I mean, Exorcism of Emily Rose is so damn good, so it's not like you want to replicate that necessarily. So,
I don't know why people are only coming around now to the real life Warrens, because they've been dead for a while. Both of them have been dead for a while. This is a lot. Like, I feel like it's the whole Jeepers Creepers thing all over again. Victor DeSalva, that was all in his past for Jeepers Creepers 1, 2, and 3. And it's slowly but surely, it just started to grow. People are like, oh, did you hear this about him? Like, yeah, that was 15 years ago. Yeah, I heard about it. And the same thing is kind of being brought up about the real life Warrens now. And it's just like, guys, they've been dead 10 years. What are you talking about? You're the guys who are making them into this bigger than life, I don't know, cultural, yeah, that word, cultural heroes. So it's just strange to me that, like, we're hearing about the real life Warrens in waves, where it's just like nothing has changed about them. They're still dead.
Do you know the story about the court case over the rights for the movie?
No.
So I'm going to get facts on this wrong. So there's the dude who wrote the book about the Warrens, but Warner Brothers didn't want to cut him in. And so that's why they're presenting these as based on the true stories. Because it's like, if they're based on true stories, then you don't need the rights. If it's a historical
no shit.
thing.
Interesting.
So the dude
That's
sues,
grimy.
And the judge says to Warner Brothers, prove it.
Ah.
And so Warner Brothers had to pay this dude a lot of money, or maybe it's still ongoing. That's what I mean. Like, I could be.
Did he actually win? I don't know if he won. I don't think they paid out anything, did they?
They might not have. Maybe
I
they're
feel
still
like
litigating it.
the way that it was happening, because his explanation for why he felt like they took a lot from his book was because of the way they portrayed the Warrens, how they portrayed, because he knew about some of the controversies in the past, like supposedly, allegedly, the Warrens had, Ed had this affair or this second relationship with this underage girl for like years or something, and had her living in the house and all this other stuff. But when the guy wrote the book, he pretty much, he mentioned the girl, but like kind of as a house sitter, and like made it so that, kind of playing up the Ed and Lorraine being like this in love type couple. And he felt like the movie played more into the way he portrayed them. But then I think that's kind of, of course they're not. Any movie that does it isn't going to just like have it to be this, like, gonna play into that. You have to make the Warrens the heroes in this. You're not gonna have it so Ed has some extramarital affair and moves his 15-year-old girlfriend into the house, and Lorraine's totally chill with it. And then they force the girl to have an abortion. Like, it's not. You're not gonna do that.
That movie. I know they won't, but I'd want to see that.
And it's but this is the thing. Anybody who would do that moves. I don't know. I felt like that was the guy's main argument, that he said that they took his way of interpreting their relationship, and that's how he knows that they borrowed from his book. But I'm like, any movie adapting this would not go into the sordid details. And then there's a whole thing around how there's a feeling that because somebody got cut out of the money, that that they put the girl up to it, that she really actually wasn't in a relationship with Ed, and that they took her in, and that she had a serious boyfriend the whole time, and it was only later now that she's trying to claim that there's a whole thing. So there's that controversy. Although I feel like I'm seeing more online people having an issue with them being, if the cases they had were authentic. I feel like that's like, there's people who with their hot takes or whatever
for 15 years ago,
they're like, Ed, I love Ed and Lorraine in the movies, but the real Ed and Lorraine were charlatans. And I'm like, what? Like, is this new? I mean, honestly, I don't completely think they were complete charlatans. Maybe they took advantage of things, and they actually never took any fees for any of the jobs they did. The money they made was from their lectures and their books. So it wasn't like they were going to these houses performing exorcism being like chalk over $1,000-something odd dollars. They literally didn't take money. So it was more so using it to get on TV and things like that and spread awareness, or become famous, whatever. But I mean, it's weird that that's kind of like the way they're demonizing them, that they were charlatans, that they took people, they confused people and stuff. And I'm like, no.
Well, wait. Well, so if if they're not charging people, that's one thing. Heroes to some, not all. But don't you think it's a little dangerous to play with somebody's emotions fresh after somebody lost someone close to them? There's that guy who used to be on Montel all the time that I watch him now, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Like if you're going to somebody's house 2 weeks after they lost a loved one and telling them that their significant other is there and trying to get in touch with them, I need proof.
Aspect,
all right. Well, I'm trying to, sell my house here. Do you mind?
Well, there are people that do that. I mean, and they want fees from the person. Be like, hey, you want me to come over your house, and since you're passed away granddad or something, you got to pay me. Those people, I do think it's like, what's that about? You were given a gift by God, supposedly. Do you think he wants you to charge people thousands of dollars when the Lord have a different way of you finding your money instead of taking these people for granted? True. But when I read, at least what I've read, is that Ed and Lorraine didn't take money from these people directly when they went to perform exorcisms and stuff.
That's what I've heard.
They got the money from books and appearances and everything. And and that's like saying anyone who does some other thing and then gets asked to do a speaking tour or whatever, that they too are a charlatan or whatever, or they're taking advantage. I don't think that's taking advantage. I mean, they perform something, maybe they believe it, maybe they don't, but I think on some level maybe it gives those people solace if they think their person that they love is being possessed by a demon or something. I mean, I don't know, do y'all believe in exorcisms and stuff?
I mean, I was raised Reformed Baptist, man, so I have a very distinctive kind of spiritual acuity, if that's the proper terminology. But I think that there's probably more disingenuous people out there, like a John Edwards, than
John Edwards, that's his name.
Yeah. Then there are people who are actually in touch with those sort of presences and forces and stuff. So.
No, I totally agree. I do think there's more charlatans than there are real people, but I do think some real people actually do exist. The issue is they're not the ones on Montel. They're not the ones, they're not the ones doing a YouTube channel or some shit, telling people, hey, sign up for my Patreon. I'll give you a special seance. Like, they're not those people. Unfortunately, that's just how it, but I don't think these cons cancel out the fact that could be a real phenomenon. Unfortunately, those are just the ones that are the loudest.
Yeah, I'm an agnostiist, where I don't think one thing's true or another. I know what I see. It's a little pig-headed and arrogant to think that way, but I haven't seen anything, so I honestly can't believe it. But I live 10 minutes away from the Amityville house. The Lutzes,
by accident, I assume.
The Lutzes, after they left, they've had like 4 different people live there, and there's been no problems since that 28 days where the Lutzes just abandoned everything in that house. Did the ghosts go with them? Like it's just very strange.
Well, Ryan Reynolds has a movie career now, so he doesn't have to torture his family.
I'll chopping wood all studly and stuff like he does in that movie long before they were very Captain America.
Listen, I'm a straight man, but if Ryan Reynolds needs me to do something for him, I'll take a shot. Fuck it.
So I guess my thoughts on that is I didn't know they did it for free, and that's pretty cool. I mean, again, like it got them all the money from the other stuff, but you know what? Yeah, if it helps some people, it helps some people. I'm not the most spiritual or religious guy myself, but I understand that people get something from it, and it does help with things, and so I can respect that if they weren't, charging for it. Yeah, that's
to counter. I know how I feel, and if somebody came to me and said, "Your father's trying to get in touch with you," that's even now for me, 6 years later. That's a raw. It's a very exposed subject for me, and if somebody's not completely being real with me like that, that's dangerous. It's painful to open something up like that. Like what proof do you have? What did he say to me? Why is he trying to get in touch with me now? Like, I just can't help but feel for the family members of lost ones. I mean, if it's just, them trying to do something for the sake of saving people, that's one thing. But, the relatives of the lost one is where I get a little concerned. But
and I'll throw this out here. I've been reading up on the trial of Arnie Johnson here a little bit as you guys been talking about this,
which is the subject matter of part 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yes. Thank you. And it seems, maybe they wrote the script based off this Wikipedia article that I'm reading here, but I could have sworn that the David Glatzel thing. I thought that the little the younger kid. I thought that had to have been fabricated as like a backstory for this, but no. Apparently,
the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. But again, maybe maybe one of these is affecting the other in some capacity, but that's here. So
they played the audio tapes, didn't they? Didn't they play some of the audio from an exorcism?
They played in the things that they played.
I had to leave in a hurry, so I only heard a smidge of those, and I thusly forgot about them. But yes,
you're
correct.
They played it from the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh no shit!
It was chilling shit.
Yes, it really was. It was creepy.
All right,
I was like, "Wow, that's creepy."
I need to check that out. Fuck.
I mean, I don't know. I just I know later on. I don't know if it was the young boy who ended up that he said that it wasn't. One of them, someone related to him, said it wasn't real later on or something. So there was some controversy around that. Or whatever, but you waited that long. I don't know why everyone suddenly decides to tell their real story when there's more money involved.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, here's the real story. And it's like, okay.
Let me make my money off my book.
Yeah. And they had a book. I think the kid had the young kid had a book or something talking about his exorcism or whatever. So it was, it
just muddies the waters is the problem I think I have, because I don't know what to believe, and that's frustrating for me. I'm not saying one person is right or one person's wrong. It's hard for me to discern which is legit.
Yeah, I just think it's weird that the hot takes are always kind of like, as soon as this was coming out, well, they were charlatans. I'll never forgive that. What did you invite them to your house? Like, I don't understand, but it's, that's just how it is online. Someone wants to stand out different, so they want to take a controversial take, which is not really controversial at all. Just them making a big deal out of something that's not actually a big deal. And I'm not sure about the Jeepers Creepers thing. I know it gets weird sometimes. Like, I actually really love Jeepers Creepers too. That's like one of my faves, like one of my favorite horror movies. And I do watch it a lot. Mm-hmm. And I it's weird because sometimes if you bring it up like online and stuff, people are some people are really quick to tell you that you shouldn't watch it or something because it supports him, that he gets all the money from it or something like that, even though there's supposed to be another Jeepers Creepers soon, I hear.
Without
him.
Yeah, he has nothing to do with it. So,
and that's what people have to point out and stuff. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
I don't think he gets a cut if you watch it like on a Friday night movie, like special, on, like FX or something like that.
If you find it, if your uncle gets it for you, I don't think he sees any of that. The uncle fund. It's strange. It really like Hollywood is very nitpicky, or excuse me, people with film, it's very nitpicky where they don't want to talk about Woody Allen or Rosemary's Baby. What the fuck's his name? Why do I always forget his name?
Oh, the guy from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Polanski,
that's it. Roman Polanski. Like it's pick and choose. It's either all or none. Like it's strange how selective people get and forgetful people get it at the most opportune times.
Well, it depends on what movie it is. I mean, horror anyway sometimes is the redheaded stepchild. Oh, so it's like, we'll go after this. But Woody, his films though, can we really see? Sometimes you just got to separate the artist from the art, and suddenly it's okay because, you know, that's on someone's friggin' Criterion list or some crap. You know, it's bias. It's all bias. It's just that when people get to create a narrative online on, you know, on these social media platforms, it's just, you know, it conflates the real issues for whatever someone wants to get a byline about. It's always funny to me when someone has an issue and then suddenly they're like, and I'm glad all of you guys made my tweet about this that I was annoyed about go viral. Now check out my article that I did for Insert Magazine here, which I got a check for, which I'm not telling you I got a check for. And that was the whole point, because when you all got really upset about that tweet, I screenshot it and sent it to the editors and sent a pitch. And that's how they do. There are so many on there who literally create upset in order to then send a pitch to an editor to then say, hey, people care about this. Let me write an article so that I can get paid for it. It's gaming the system, if you ask me. And maybe this is just my journalistic.
People on the internet have ill-gotten gains.
But you
what
get
are
what I'm saying?
talking
Because
about?
these are people who literally have journalists and stuff in their things with their quick takes and stuff. And it's like, you literally journalists are supposed to look at the news and report it in a way to help people, not create the news so they can get a check.
Influence.
Exactly. And that's the difference. You're supposed to maintain that objectivity as a journalist. Otherwise, you're writing an editorial, you're writing a think piece, because then your personal bias is allowed to creep in there. But I've seen, even just in my time since leaving print, I feel like stuff that is supposed to be this neutral reporting most definitely is not in that regard. And also Rage, more so than anything, I find has a much higher likelihood of going viral than any sort of positive stuff, you know, when it comes to, you know, any sort of criticism or assessment.
Politics is stained everything too, where it's just like, oh, you're just saying that because insert political side here. And it's just like, no, it's just what happened. Can you just stop making it about Republican, Democrat? Like this is just a thing that happened. It's not a. I
mean, even with reviews, right? I mean, YouTube has a particular thing with algorithms where, even though in the long term, positive things people engage with on a longer term basis, YouTube's algorithm has a tendency to immediately respond to people responding to anger. Now, a little bit of that is humankind's problem, because we have a tendency with our knee-jerk reaction to click on the thing that seems negative, and that's why drama channels exist, and that's why when someone is ragging on a movie, people are very quick versus someone saying, here's a well-balanced kind of, you know, no one wants to, no, I want to see that you hated it. And literally, you know, you got people who can game it because they put the word angry in their thing all the time or something like that. And then suddenly YouTube's like, oh, people respond to this, and it's kind of gaming that algorithm a little bit.
Okay.
As someone who recently hit 1 million views of the video because King Shark, at just the exact moment when everyone is talking about King Shark, it's chasing the algorithm and the people that things are looking for. If you spend time like an hour on Twitter, you'll find out what's on people's minds, and you can go out and you can make a video about it, and you'll get views.
How many subscribers do you have now, Lindsey?
Just shy of 3,000, like 5 shy, like 2995. It feels very good. I do need to start making some videos again, though. Oh, I mean, that's not why I brought it up, but thank you guys. Thank you.
Sure, it's not.
Whatever.
Okay, fine. Shameless plug. You look like, you know, if you have your finger on the pulse and you're able to turn videos out really quickly, or, you know, news stories, if you're if you're an article-based site or something like that, you'll get clicks.
And that's why I feel like somebody like Philly D does so good, because of the fact that he does those shows. And I'm not a big fan of his like Cecil is, but I mean, he's got the biggest trending things of the day, and that's what he always day in and day out covers. So it helps with the clicks.
Trending is good. I guess I was more so talking about anger inciting, you know, and controversy inciting, you know, going after things that you know are going to piss people off or get them arguing under your stuff. YouTube actually, you know, I mean, the algorithm has no morals. It's not a person. So it's literally just like, hey, if that's what the people want, I'll give more of that. And if it's going to raise their blood pressure, or it's just really biased and a person yelling at something and it's supposed to be considered a movie review or whatever, you know, I mean, that's what YouTube will give people. That's what it spreads around. So that's what we get.
And also, if there's lots of commenters arguing back and forth, even if it doesn't like
That's
crush
interactivity.
If you have lots of those comments, man, and people bickering back and forth about different opinions. So,
yeah, people are more likely to click on something that they hate rather than they love. They want to argue and get pissed off, not chat about how awesome something is. That just doesn't happen.
Not rejoice in amazingness and high quality.
Yeah. Oh my God, doesn't this make you happy? Let's discuss how happy it makes you.
not as much of that.
That's the same reason why you never see like what like a 4-star review on Yelp. It's always either 1 or 5.
Yeah.
Because people won't go on there to say how much they love a restaurant. It's only until, oh my gosh, my plate was 2 minutes late. I can't.
Yeah, and you're like, sorry, Karen. I mean, we did the best we could, but we were really busy. We're opening back up and whatever. But speaking of opening back up, I want to ask you guys. So do you think this does Quiet Place money if it didn't have the HBO Max factor? Conjuring, I mean, because it did like half of what Quiet Place 2 did just the previous week, because that made almost 50, and this made like 24. So it just makes me wonder if people like if the numbers would have been significantly more inflated if not for the dual release structure that they did for this. So.
It's an interesting topic.
Oh, I definitely think it would be.
Sorry.
It's a popular franchise. They have how many? There's 3 Annabelle movies. There's The Nun. There's the two previous of this. So it's definitely franchise level at this particular point, and a popular one at that. So I think it would have done better.
It's
What's
frustrating.
the number for what this one did? What
24, almost 25 as I'm looking.
24 flat.
Yeah.
Well, the last one opened to 40.4.
Yeah, and The Nun was the biggest opening for this franchise, surprisingly, despite the quality of that movie.
What was that? Yeah, I'll pull that up here real quick.
See, it's frustrating just for the sake of information. Is just for the sake of information. I'd like to know.
Wow.
One more time.
Okay, sorry. A 53.5.
What, The Nun?
The Nun, yeah, on a budget of 22.
Frenchie was endearing, but aside from him, that movie was pretty bad.
Yeah, that movie was rough.
Yeah. Well, I did like the line of what was it? Holy shit! And then the priest is just like the holiest shit or something like that.
It was definitely the derpiest of all of these movies. That's for sure.
It was a jump scare movie. It didn't have good shelf life. That was the problem. I love the jump scares, but that was mostly what it was jump scares. In my
Chauncey,
opinion.
are you a fan? Like, is this subgenre within horror like your favorite? The ghosts and the
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
I like the supernatural.
Yeah.
I like the ghosts. I love the demonic type stuff sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in line with that opinion, obviously Chauncey's page is down below. Like Fuego, Cecil is a big monster guy, right? Isn't he like really into?
We are both
Godzilla type
big
shit?
time. Yeah, big time.
Oh, both of you.
Yeah, both of us are big time creature fans. So whether it's Godzilla or whether it's the Blob or The Thing, Aliens is my favorite movie of all time. The second film by Cameron.
So we are a bit more forgiving of the stuff that we want to go back to. So it's nice to have different perspectives on stuff.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna answer Fuego's thing. That I would say that I think it would have done the same amount of numbers. I think what we're gonna see in a couple of days is HBO Max is probably gonna tell us how many people watched it.
I wish. I really wish.
To let us know.
It would give us a better bearing of how these things are actually transpiring. So.
Yeah, and it could let like studios and producers in on what they could be focusing on. Like, I'd like to know how many people signed up for HBO Max just to watch this movie. Because that's what, $14? What is it a month? $15?
It's $14.99. But this is the interesting thing, and I didn't realize this until I saw them. So they have, similar to Hulu, they have a ad-based $9.99 that they just introduced.
Oh,
you don't get those theater at home releases complimentary with that. They're not included, which is interesting.
At all?
Yeah, not at all. You have to spend that $5 more a month to actually get access to those. So
that makes sense, though. It kind of makes sense, especially with stuff opening up again.
Listen, I'll pay $15 for a movie ticket. That's for 2 people.
And that's
to
better
watch it.
than Disney, right? Disney puts their stuff behind $30.
Yeah,
it's gonna pay that much for Black Widow.
Yeah, or
Marvel
Cruella. For
fan.
God's sake, do not spend $30 to see Cruella, guys. Oh my goodness.
I would be so upset if I had paid $30 to watch Raya. Like, it was fine. It was okay. It was,
Yeah,
cute, it was not a $30 movie.
Well, just
Yeah,
invite a bunch of people over, and then make sure you
That's
charge
what
$5 a head.
Mhm.
And
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, Raya, for instance, really showed the despondency and quality for me, just to veer off topic briefly, between Pixar and then
Ugh.
Disney animation. You know,
Not
Disney's
Pixar.
animation, it's not even close as far as storytelling quality for me, at least. So.
Like, again, like, it was fine. It was you know, it was kind of a knockoff Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was kind of funny, but the dialogue was just so bad. Just so many cringy jokes. I just couldn't.
And I didn't like Aquafina. She was just kind of grinded my gears, and I like her in a lot of other things that I've seen her in, but her voice in the dragon, it just, I don't know, I wasn't into it.
I do not like her.
Yeah.
She's so cringe.
the only thing that like she's not on for is that movie that takes place in what is it, Queens? Shit, I forgot it. It's a mostly Asian American movie where she's splitting time back and forth. I don't remember the name of it. I'm not going to try to. Let me just step backwards and forget I brought it up. We'll just walk away from that. Yeah, but Aquafina.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the film that you're referencing. It's the one where
it was an award bait movie.
Yeah, it was the Oscar bait one.
Yeah, I saw it and she was great in it. It's the one where she goes back to China and they think the grandmother is going to pass away.
Right.
I can't think of the name of it. If I look,
she's very reserved in that movie, which is like, why
Yeah.
why can't you do this a little bit too?
Because Hollywood wanted her black cinch stick. That's what they want. That's what they like. They want the spectacle. And so she played into it.
The Farewell.
The Farewell. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
it's looking on the wiki right now.
That was 2 seconds too fast.
So
Yes, sir.
Fuego, you brought up something. What did you watch this weekend? I'm trying to remember.
Went and saw that, but went and actually spent money to go to a theater to see Cruella. And it was the first time in a while where I legitimately felt like leaving the theater because I was just so bored and so disappointed. But you know, my inner stinginess was like, no, you paid to see this movie. You know, you can't leave. And I actually did a review with Lady Catherine, my girlfriend, and she was even rougher on it than me. I mean, she just tore that film apart. She doesn't review a lot of stuff with me, but she was very, very passionate about wanting to share her thoughts. And boy, did she ever! It is all style and no substance of any kind. And you can tell Emma Stone and is it Emma Thompson they're both having a blast playing dress up and everything. And, you know, Craig Gillespie as a director, I've liked pretty much everything of his I've seen, from the Fright Night remake to I, Tonya, even the Mr. Woodcock with Billy Bob and Stifler was kind of amusing to a degree. But this film is just, it's nice to look at, but there's not really, it's like the lights are on, but nobody's home sort of situation, if you want to use that old cliche. And that's the way that I felt about this film. And the fact that they've already greenlit a sequel, as we were discussing in the pre-game talk and stuff, and in the pre-production. So I did not like this movie, and without spoiling stuff, the way they justify her hatred for this particular breed of canine was absolutely asinine. So I've spoken my piece.
You didn't dig the soundtrack that there was 33 songs for?
You know, they advertised it as being this like 70s London punk rock sort of thing, and it really didn't do that at all. I mean, I was aggravated early on because they're playing all these songs from the 60s. And granted, there's songs that I love, 5 to 1 by The Doors, and, you know, some CCR and Zombies Time of the Season, but I'm like, these aren't 70s punk songs. Like, what do you guys think? And
well,
then,
you have to age with her. Those were songs that were on the radio when she was whatever age she was in the late 60s or whatever.
Yeah, and they were established songs, and I'm sure they were still playing them in the mid-70s when this supposedly takes place. But then they play Should I Stay or Should I Go, which was released in 1981. And anytime films do that, and Stranger Things is guilty of doing the same thing with Sunglasses at Night. But nonetheless, that as a former music journalist, that sort of stuff really bugs me. So it just felt like one big long music video in a lot of ways, and it felt kind of Suicide Squad meets Devil Wears Prada was.
Did you watch last week's episode?
I did not get the chance.
I swear to God, I said the exact same words.
Oh,
Suicide Squad, Devil Wears Prada. I said those exact two movies.
Yeah, and I mean, and emulation is supposed to be the sincerest form of flattery, but it's another thing that just blatantly rips stuff off, and that's what I felt like this film did. The script was very lazy. So.
Oh yeah, what I said last week was you don't have any, like, there's no room to breathe. You can't have an emotion without some underlying music track that assists you in feeling, where it's just like, just let them act. Just let the feelings play out. You don't have to, play a sad song to tell us that this is sad. Just, let them perform.
Yeah, because Stone and Thompson are both very capable actors. Sorry, Stone and Thompson both very capable, and as I said, like, they're honestly the best part of this film. It's just the script is so bad. So sorry, Lindsey, continue.
No, I apologize myself, but is it more or less on the nose than Zombie playing during Army of the Dead? Just out of curiosity, are you talking that level, or
that was like the level of big dumb fun that I was actually okay with, because that is not the smartest, and it's not the sharpest tool in the shed anyway, being Zack Snyder film. But no, I don't know. The soundtrack was fine, but it's very, very popular, recognizable songs. If they had dug a little bit deeper into the vault of some of these things, and maybe, how sometimes a film will have a song that was a little bit more obscure, and then suddenly mainstream audiences are aware of it, and it sees a resurgence. None of these songs are going to see a major resurgence because they're all that, like, just popular and well known. So
that, and like Fuego, who would you say this movie's geared towards? What age range?
Tween girls. I mean.
Right.
You're going to see so many Cruella costumes in October, as I can credit Catherine for saying in our review. She's like, yeah, it's just like after we saw all the Harley Quinns after Suicide Squad came out. I mean, yes, that is, despite being a PG-13 film, it is most definitely adolescent girls that I feel like this is geared towards.
But do you think some adolescent girl is going to go pick up a Rolling Stone album just because that song from Cruella is in it?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
They may put it on their Spotify or something, but
it's not the same. Like I'm trying to remember what movie I wanted to compare it to with music that you wanted to find it because it was in that movie you liked, but it's just not the same here.
Lots of 90s horror soundtracks like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and even some of the later Saws had, like, back when a soundtrack was still a thing as opposed to just being a score and having that take center stage, which we see more often lately, I would say.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that was a damn good one. Good call. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a great movie.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the thing, Tarantino, with his, whether Pulp Fiction or
his music
Jackie
picks
Brown's
are pretty
got
good.
A great score too, or soundtrack, I should say. He's very good at picking more obscure stuff and presenting them to a widespread audience, which I appreciate about him.
It's weird if even if you don't have dialogue in a Tarantino movie, if you just have the visuals and the the music, Tarantino. Like he's got such interesting combinations of the two, where it's just like, just a song of somebody whistling. Okay, that's this is a Tarantino movie. There's no way.
Right.
There's no way it's
Jackie
not.
Brown with 110th Street and Pam Grier, like that is badass stuff right there, man.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I feel like when they were kind of pushing this, I know when I did a trailer reaction to it, I kind of felt like it was a Joker ripoff. So you don't think there was like tinges of Joker? You think they kind of just did that for promotion?
I think with Joker, like, I mean, this is a lot sillier than that film. There's a lot of like depth and darkness to that Joker film. I can see some of the similarities, but I think you are definitely supposed to root for her more in this film than you do for the character that becomes the Joker in the Joaquin film. He's more of a like, you sympathize with him, but you also feel bad for him. You don't really feel bad for her in Cruella, at least in my estimation. So.
Well, it's hard to, because she's always miserable.
Oh, okay.
She's always a shitty character. Like from childhood on, she's just doing some gnarly shit. Her mom doesn't deserve the treatment she gets. And then certainly doesn't deserve the death she gets.
Not at all. But the parachute in the third act, when you revisit that beat, it's just, oh my goodness. I could rant about this movie for quite a while, but I don't want to don't want to waste the breath. So
I saw some Disney. Okay.
No, I guess it's a spoiler, but like apparently there's a post-credit scene where the dog is more significant than. Is that real? Is that actually?
There is a post-credit, yeah, and it tries to cast a different light on some things. But
it's just so silly. Go ahead, Chauncey. I just need to get that confirmation.
I don't know. As an animal lover, I couldn't stand when they said they were giving her a movie. I was just like, unless there's not like some real true story, it doesn't make any sense to me. Do you think, did you watch any of the like other reviewers who are like Disney head types? Did you feel like there was a bias in the community for this? Because I saw some people with titles of like, this is the best live action of Disney or something like that. And I mean, I don't know. Some people don't want to lose their access, so that might be some people want to keep those screeners. So maybe that's an idea. So
I did see that my negativity was in the minority about this movie a lot. Like I watched Stuckman's review. I think that was one of the only from like the major YouTube movie people. But I seem to be one of the few that is hating on this one. So to each their own. So.
I think you got the second one right here. You're good, man. Don't worry.
I don't think you're in the minority of it. I just think the people who might
it's like what
be
Chauncey
reviewing
said, the zombies. Yeah.
I don't even know if it's. Honestly, people gotta do what they gotta do. So it's like it's hard to get an unbiased opinion sometimes if people have. That's the conundrum sometimes with access reviews.
Listen,
some people feel like
free movie tickets is one thing, unless Disney's paying my rent. I'm not gonna sugarcoat shit.
I don't know. They fly people to set, and you want to go to eventually when they start having red carpet premieres and stuff. I mean, it can be. I mean, wasn't that the controversy around Star Wars stuff, where some people really just weren't in like major type thing. I don't know, was it Collider or something like that, where some people
Collider, they all lost their credibility. Yeah,
people question just how honest they were being, until like they felt like they got kind of screwed over. So suddenly it's like, well, I didn't really, and it's like, well, where was this when, who does a reviewer have, I don't know, a duty to? I feel like it's the people who come to you for the review, but I understand, but I don't know. I just feel like if people care about your thing, they might not care too much if you didn't do a day before it came out or a couple of days.
Excellent
and if that
point,
means, you come out with it, and because most average regular viewers aren't gonna, unless they are a fan of it already, aren't gonna jump to watch it. So they might be okay waiting for your thing. So it's kind of, I don't know. I was just wondering that if Fuego had saw, that kind of contrast, being the odd person out, kind of speaking your truth in the sea of Disney people acting like it was the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a big consultant of Collider for many years, especially when they had more of a video component. But then there was a lot of people calling them out as being shills, and so for that reason, I don't consult them.
Yeah, they lost their credibility.
So.
As somebody who played the game for half a year, where I was rushing to review shit, and like, my view count was a little bit better, but like it was just so unsubstantial. It was just it wasn't the interactivity, it wasn't the community that you'd want to interact with, you'd want credit for it. And it certainly wasn't enough that it like made me feel like, oh yeah, this is the direction to go in. You're just first, you're just early. You get perhaps a couple of extra views, but they're empty. They're just dropping by to see if you said something good or something bad, and that's really it. They come for the snippet at the end, and then they're gone. So I don't know. Is it worth becoming the next Collider over to say that, yeah, no, Disney flew me out, it was awesome. Come back next time for the next one. Disney.
It's clout, man. Like that's such a huge thing, the clout.
Yeah, I mean, getting the set invites and being at the red carpet premieres and everything. So
when I went to, I've gone to a few of them, yeah, but like Like,
Here it comes.
Okay, but no, listen. When I went to Conjuring, right? Warner Brothers had a thing, and I went to go watch it in the woods, and I got a Conjuring box. I got like a whole a thing or whatever, and one could argue like, oh well, you're saying it's just as good as the first, but like, you know what you gonna do? Say it's bad. But this is the thing. I honestly I think if people look at my past, they know I genuinely already like the Conjuring series. Mm-hmm. So you know I'm not bullshitting out of nowhere necessarily, but I do think there's a little bit of the pressure to not necessarily completely say this is the worst movie ever. But also, if it is the worst movie ever, I probably wouldn't feel compelled to bite my tongue, because the way I think, people who support me have come around me, it's because they know I'm not gonna BS them.
Sure.
And I would like to keep that kind of legitimacy, because at the end of the day, the reason why these companies go to these people in the first place isn't because they're willing to shill for them, but because they say you have an audience we want to get to. So we hope you give us good reviews. Right. But if you lose that audience, that company probably doesn't want to mess with you anymore either, because they're like, well, you no longer have the thing we need. So thanks for shilling for us, but now it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that
so what's it's kind of like, why is it worth it? No. And I honestly don't think it overall is.
No.
I honestly feel more pressure at times to give a better review to, like, if a friend has a movie or something than I do to a corporation,
Oh, like when I was heating on the horror movie that you almost acted in a few months ago.
Yes, we said that offline.
And I wasn't I didn't mention the title, so
What about this? I'm fascinated that we're talking about this, because I've thought about this stuff. So, like, what would I do if anything like that ever happened? So here's the other thing: if, like, let's say like a mobile game with like super predatory, like known predatory, like trying to get people to spend money type of things, wanted you to do a promotion for your videos, would you do that?
Are they paying my rent?
Exactly.
What
that's what I'm saying. No, just like like paid promotions. Like the one I see a lot is like Raid Shadow Legends. It's just like a game that's just on autopilot.
I see.
An unsavory phone app is what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the big YouTubers that I like have done ads for that game, and it just looks absolutely terrible.
Killer tanks.
They probably got some. They probably got some money for it, and it might have paid some of these people's rent. So there's that. I think it. But I'm not judging. It's just like, what do you do? Like, I think you can judge it to a certain degree, because one of the ways that they got their audience is that people, there's a parasocial relationship, right? People come to you because they think, in a way, not that you're their friend. Some people think they're your friend, but like, there is a little bit of a thing of, I trust you. You seem like someone I would know in my life. I go to you for this, whatever it is. Maybe it's this or reviews, or it's just funny takes. And so I trust you with that. So if you start putting stuff to me just because someone sends you a check and you don't really think it's good, and it's not good, I do think that's kind of questionable. I do, unless someone really needs the money, which a lot of times, if they're already super, super popular, they might not need it, depending on how their stuff gets sponsored, because that can be tricky or whatever. But no, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. I don't know. I've seen people do interviews with people from the cast before they watch the movie, and then they're in a really weird predicament because you've interviewed people from the movie, and now you're supposed to give a review, and it's like, it wasn't good, but you kind of have to tiptoe because you just had these people on your thing, and it's like, that's why I don't like doing review and interviews. People that, and I'm like, I don't really, if I haven't seen it yet. I mean, the other thing is it's kind of hard.
What do you talk about if you don't know what the hell your reference is?
Well, it's the publicity, Yeah, like, let's talk to so-and-so.
Los Angeles, man, you guys.
I just think there's a distinctive thing between a film critic and someone who's an entertainment journalist sometimes.
That's a brilliant way to put it.
And there's a
difference, actually.
There's a difference. And some people toe the line. They try to do both, but I feel like, and sometimes it's allowed, but I don't think it works to be both necessarily, to try to be the entertainment journalist and the film critic, because it's just,
you can't.
There is a conflict of interest there.
Sure. I would, see, if I ever got to that stage, I would introduce a code word. I would introduce this word that means I'm sincerely in love with this movie, and you guys would know. I'd blink twice. That means
help me.
They paid me to say this.
Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Yeah, although I will say that compared to some of those games and stuff where they just, free app and, whatever, and then you just have to pump, dinero into it. I think there's a little bit more nobility to having a sponsor like, God forbid, a Manscaped or like an ExpressVPN or whatever. That's at least a little bit more helpful in comparison with something that is not going to really provide you with very much. So
Dollar Shave Club, Loot Crate, if that's still around. I don't remember the last time I heard Loot Crate, but yeah.
They went bankrupt, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think they did. yeah, they sponsored the horror show at one point. We've seen Manscaped. We've seen a few of those over time, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think it's a weird thing. It's weird. I would implore people to really try to support review. Well, of course, these people here, of course, they do that. But you support reviewers that you genuinely like their opinion, necessarily, and it's just not necessarily the clickbaity type of thing. Because honestly, with algorithms and depending on who's giving them access and stuff, there's a certain thing that helps that, and
it's the two extremes. It's love and hate. There's no people that are massively lining up to hear somebody go, it was all right. there's no attention in that.
Yeah, they want something. I mean, someone impassioned at least about their
well, of course, yeah.
No comment, Sky. No comment whatsoever.
I see a lot of things in those.
Grace Randolph, man, she's not for me.
I've been blocked without saying a word to her, so that's quite an incredible feat.
Probably because people you were connected to, or something.
Sure.
Yeah, nails on a chalkboard, man.
How many rooms I've shared with her, and ugh.
I don't know if I would describe her as punchable, but she's not exactly likable.
She's not huggable, that's for certain.
And there's a great. I will not say anything about Grace Randolph.
I
think, but I will say she is an example, a little bit of that gray area of someone who does reviews, but also someone I feel like she leans more on the entertainment journalist.
Absolutely, there's no way I'd call her reputable.
I mean,
there's
even
no
when
way.
she started, she was doing a lot of red carpets and interviews. And I think that's kind of where she shines, when she kind of talks to people. And I mean, she has Snyder on a lot. I mean,
she could be an Entertainment Tonight host. Yeah,
I think that's where she shines. The issue is when she's giving those opinion pieces, and it could get controversial. I know recently, as of today, there was the thing spreading around where she said, I don't even know if there's an old video or new. Sometimes I think people just pick up old vids of her because she's been around for like 10 years or something.
Oh yeah, she's one of the old school YouTubers.
Yeah, she's one of the early ones.
Man and John's, like when those guys were all starting like 12 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like
to that, there's
exactly. I mean, I don't know. I know people dislike her to a certain degree. I do think she has said some questionable stuff, but I do think as an entertainment page, I think she does give the goods. She's one of those people where it works for her to have access, because she mainly is about news and reporting. It's when she does the reviews that it gets kind of weird, but I don't think she ever really tries to push herself too much as a film critic per se, so I don't know.
And that's where, like you said, there's so much of a difference between film punditry and entertainment correspondence. It's like night and day in a lot of ways. I mean, it's like TMZ versus like, Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert sort of thing.
Yeah. And some people try to have their cake and eat it too. And you can't keep it in your hands and chew it in your mouth. Eventually one's going to go, right? So it's like, and that's where it gets weird, So I don't know. I think it's just a conundrum, especially. I mean, I thought about that because we were bringing up so many movies, or like The Conjuring, Cruella, and there's communities around that and companies behind it, and it can get like I didn't like La Llorona like that too much.
I think it's the weakest of the series, personally.
It is. I agree. But I felt weird when I did a trailer reaction, and then Warner Brothers included me in their like commercial for trailer reaction, La Llorona. I was like, and I don't even think I ended up reviewing the movie because I felt weird, because I was like, I didn't like this, and it's gonna look weird if this thing is going around and I'm part of this thing. And that was earlier, like 2 years ago or whatever like that. But you can
choose your battles.
It can be hard, I mean, sometimes the people who continuously give like the real deal, they don't get all that love sometimes from companies. So that's why I mean, like, support those people, because if they aren't into access, sometimes it's because they won't, kowtow to a certain agenda or whatever.
I like supporting people that can tell you they liked or hated a movie, and they can tell you why. You'd be surprised how many vapid, empty opinions there are. Again, in the two extremes, love or hate. That these and it's kind of like where you were discussing Grace. Grace, if she were to do like Entertainment Tonight, like that vapid, empty. Here's just information, and this is what's going on. Oh, Jennifer Lopez is with Ben Affleck. Oh, crazy. Cool. When you get into film criticism, it's just like, all right, why do you feel that way? Explain to me why you have that thought, and that's where it crumbles. And I just have a bigger appreciation, at least for film criticism, for somebody who can tell me this is what I feel. This is why. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's not always the case with some of the entertainers on YouTube.
That's why I will give Stuckman though, because he's a talking head. Like that's what he does. Like you will get a review from Stuckman. Like that's all in all the years he doesn't really switch it up until he does his Hilarious City type stuff or whatever. But for the most part, his majority of stuff, when a show goes out, he waits to the very last episode and then be like, my review of this. He doesn't do the weekly thing or whatever like that. He's like, this is my review. Is what I thought. Okay. I mean, he keeps it very simple. Although I will say he gets the space to keep it simple because he's been there for like 12 years. I mean, it's harder for people who are newer to come in and be like, I want to keep it simple. I want to give you what this was, and I want to give you my criticism, because unless I'm doing like, this and a thing,
the thumbnail,
you're not trying to click on that. So it's weird. It's hard.
Yeah, and I mean, him and like a Dan Murrell, for instance, are these guys who have just a very stoic, pronounced sort of style, but yet they are analytical and quite articulate in their analysis, which I appreciate. So
I love Dan, yeah. No,
but they're not exuberant sort of forces, like a Jeremy Johns or a lot of those other YouTubers with all the bombast and flair and so on. So
I kind of like Jeremy now. I think I've watched enough more of his stuff, and I'm like, he's accepted. He's just he's a reviewer. He talks about what he likes with that red background,
which is fine.
It's just that's all he's about. He's like, that's what I thought. Bam.
Yeah. Quick.
That's Jeremy Johns.
Yeah.
You like it? No, I like him. I think it's fine. He has his thing,
Yeah, he's a goofus and he entertains me.
Yeah, he does. He's funny.
What do we did pretty much discussed it. Anything you guys caught up on in the last week? What have you seen since we last saw you? Anything somewhat recent?
Wrath of Man?
You were here last week.
Was I?
Talking to the other two.
Who am I? What's going on?
I'll join with you in a second, but I saw Wrath of Man as well this week, oddly enough.
Yeah, I saw it a couple weeks ago. It was interesting because it didn't feel as much like a Guy Ritchie movie, because Guy Ritchie has that hyper violence, but yet with the humor as well. This film was probably the most serious thing I have seen from him, like in his entire filmography. And for that reason, it didn't stand out as much to me. I mean, Statham is fine, but and also it was him remaking a French film, from what I understand, and so it wasn't an original script of his. It was his reworking of something, and so for that reason, it was fine. It was well shot, but even the score was had a grim sort of tone to it. And after how jovial and over the top ridiculous the Gentleman was,
I love that movie.
That was one of my top 5 of last year. This one just, I don't know if I would ever need to watch it again. And I own a number of Guy Ritchie movies between Lock, Stock, and Snatch and Gentleman and, even Rock and Roll I like. So,
Didn't he do the
Rock
first
and Rolla.
Sherlock Holmes?
He did both of them.
Yeah, he did both of those. And then he even did that remake of Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I thought was pretty fun, aside from the Army Hammerisms of it and such. Henry Cavill was great in that one. So
I forgot about The Gentleman. I did really like that, actually. That's just a fun movie.
Oh, it
Feels
was
like decades ago, doesn't it? It was just last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little over a year ago.
The longest year of our lives.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I do have to agree, though. I almost bounced off of Wrath of Man because I went in, expecting A and I got F. And, not like in a bad way. That opening shot is really good and effective. There's just
stationary
one long
shot in the
take.
truck?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
Yeah,
what you're
and it's just like a rotating camera that just moves left and right a couple times in order to show things. The ADR in that scene kind of annoyed me. It was a little, it was a little obvious. And some of the dialogue in the movie just overall was like so stylized and so over the top bombastic for no real reason. But once it kind of kicks into gear around when the second act kind of goes, it does get a lot better. It's not a great start. And I don't know what I expected from the ending, considering it's called Wrath of Man and what the entire previous movie was. Just, very violent, very dreary, very, bullet to the head and you're dead. But the way it just kind of ended, I don't know. That was a little weird. I also wish we kind of got to know why Jason Statham was so badass outside of, he's just Jason Statham.
I want to know the cheat code that he used to be so invincible during that entire movie. Because that was a little odd for me. He was a little too indestructible.
How about
like
the
nobody?
Go
ahead.
How about the structuring? Did you guys like the kind of bouncing aroundness? I was
not a fan. I was not a fan of the movie as a whole. Like I when I finished, I was like, oh, so we revisited one scene twice, and we just kind of got filler for the rest. And there's just like as a structure, I really can't grasp on anything in that movie where it's just like, yeah, that's a complete story. It never felt complete to me.
That's where I'm going to be divergent actually here. The structure, once it got interesting it got interesting for me in the second act. Like the first act, I'm just going to go and go like, okay, so we just got this movie going like just endlessly, just dreary, just like things are bad. People die. People get ripped off and stolen, and people are just dicks to you for absolutely no reason. Oh, Josh Hartnett's there. What's up, Josh Hartnett?
Yeah, I was like, when's the last time I've seen you, man? Like,
right. Yeah.
And I just rewatched Faculty
him
recently too, and I was
He's
just
lost some weight.
A little bit.
That's a good movie, The Faculty. That's a good horror movie.
That is.
We just had a patron request for it, and we did a commentary through the whole thing that's on the Patreon right now, and I friggin' love that movie.
That movie's almost 25 years old. That's almost 25.
It was like 97, 98, something like that.
Another year.
Robert Rodriguez, man. Everybody forgets Rodriguez directed that, man, but the cast is stellar in that movie. It is like Jon Stewart even before The Daily Show. That movie, man.
It's creepy too.
I saw that in school.
Yeah. Now, one thing about Wrath of Man that I will say is I think Eastwood's kid is sucked in pretty much everything I've seen him in.
Yeah.
But I thought he was a pretty good villain in that movie.
Was he Jen or John or whatever?
One of the bright spots. He was the guy at the end who stayed.
The guy who made it through.
Okay. Yeah, he was good. Okay.
There was moments where like you could see Clint in his face, and he's doing just things that you would never see Clint do in a movie. So it was like, this is refreshing to see the Eastwood face be a scumbag. It's really refreshing to see this.
Yeah.
I'll side with you there, Fuego. Seeing Clint Jr. do some unsavory things.
Scott Eastwood, I think, is his name, right?
Yeah, the lesser Eastwood, whatever his name is.
Well, I want to see him in a movie with what's his face from Captain, not Captain America, from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Sebastian Stan or
No, the bad Captain America, because he's someone's kid. Kurt Russell's kid.
Oh yeah, Kurt Russell. Wyatt Russell.
Oh yeah, Wyatt Russell and Scott Eastwood. I want to see them in a movie together, just for the hell of it. Like
nepotism. Film.
Go for it.
Yeah.
How about we do another Point Break and put those two goofballs in it? Like,
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Will they try?
I'd be down. Yeah. Just pretend the other one doesn't exist.
You can. They kind of do that. They did it with Fantastic Four. Why not?
That's true.
Yeah, indeed. Well, and they're rebooting Ninja Turtles again, which I was just reading about. Seth Rogen is behind this one, apparently.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Is he directing it? Is he writing it? What?
I think him and Goldberg are producing it, just like how they did Invincible, they did The Boys. Like they're really into these like comic book adaptations that are close to their hearts. So.
Okay.
And Seth Rogen's going to play Krang.
I'd rather somebody. I'd rather somebody who has some sort of love for the franchise take it over than just somebody cashing a check. At least they're going to put whether or not you think it's a hit or miss, at least they tried. They're not trying to fuck up a franchise that you feel near and dear to your heart. So
and those two with Megan Fox were so terrible, man. Like, oh my goodness.
they're not good.
No.
I don't necessarily think she was the problem with those movies. I just think just overall they were just bad movies. Like the second one when they introduced Casey Jones, he's just like, I'm Detective Casey Jones, and I'm going to be a police officer and a captain one day. And just like, whoa, okay. You're throwing a lot at me with this character in 30 seconds here.
And dude from the original movie was such a badass Casey Jones, man. I mean, yeah, terrific job. So.
Like, that's the thing. Like, sure, you can CGI the turtles, but just go with puppets again. They looked so good back then. Just do it again with better puppets. You know, not to knock the puppets back then, but with more modern puppets, and then CGI to enhance the puppets. They look so good. Just
bring back the Henson Company, man. I mean,
that's what they did with Dark Crystal. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Which Netflix canceled.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Can't believe they did that. It was so good.
Well, and they just canceled that Jupiter whatever. They canceled that after one season. And
no one was talking about it. It was kind of DOA.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's crazy that they, canceled it and didn't give it at least a second shot. But I think that was their trying to be like the superhero thing, right? And
it was their version of The Boys that they were trying to do.
What is this? I see. I'm completely in the dark.
Yeah, it's called Jupiter's Legacy, I believe, and it's based on a Mark Miller comic, and he's the guy who created Kick-Ass and did Wanted, and
so like adulty type. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not as hyper violent as The Boys, from what I understand, but it just wasn't well received, and that's the thing. They put out such a shitload of content at this point that I've seen them more prone to pull the plug now on something. They're just like, nope, on to the next one. So.
Yeah,
I've
it's
mean
confusing.
to watch the Jupiter's Legacy, but a friend of mine literally will not stop texting me about how bad it is. Like, he finished it a week ago. He's like in shock about how bad it is. Like yeah.
It's really funny because it seems like, funny enough, I feel like Amazon Prime is kind of doing it when it comes to the adult superhero thing. They have Invincible and they have The Boys, and they're going to do that Boys spinoff, which is like Superhero University, which I'm pretty sure is probably going to be just as good. So it's like
R-rated Sky High or something.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm here for that. And it's weird that Netflix can't seem to get that as well as, but I feel like they have so much content too. So maybe sometimes they're just not overseeing it as well. I saw the volume 2 of Love, Death and Robots, and that wasn't as good.
I was underwhelmed with that.
Yeah.
I loved those first 16 installments for the most part, and then this new one, I was just like, really? Aside from the goofiness of the one with the old woman and the little
that was the best one.
That was fun, but
this one was just, so I don't know. I just feel like they started cranking everything out, and maybe they're just not, I don't know, they're just kind of like, well, someone's gonna like something, so
eventually it'll hit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we've always talked about, like, I don't know how they make money. So I guess it's subscriptions, but it's like, you crank out all this stuff. This gotta cost money.
They report losses every quarter.
Yeah,
they,
I just
they
don't
operate in the red. It's crazy.
Like, I don't understand that. When at a certain point, even with the originals, when did you, like, I don't know, do a little bit more quality control as opposed to like every week there's like a couple of movies coming out, originals and new. It's like, it's a lot.
I wonder if they've like, are they just like a bank now? Like, does it matter if the money's there or not? Like, oh yeah, here you go.
It's just a pyramid scheme.
Like that.
We're just making tons of shows. We're getting the money for this. Don't worry about it. More shows.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Hey, you're pretty. Here's money. Go away.
It used to be something like, oh, they're going to lose all that Marvel property, so of course they're going to stop doing series for that. But now it's kind of like you brought up, Chauncey. This is their content. Why are they so shitty? Like, this is yours. You can make 15 seasons if you want. You have nothing to worry about. Why are you getting gun shy all of a sudden? This is stuff that you could actually hang your hat on and wrap your subs around.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what their business plan is right now. I don't know what I used to think they were aiming for trying to make their own independent kind of their own channel of original content. And it seems like that's what they're trying to do, but it's just like they're not really kind of thinking about what they're trying to build. So I feel like there's a lot that happens, and then a lot of these shows don't come back. And it's like, well, I guess, okay.
Their dartboard is ginormous. They're just like, fuck it, just hit something.
Yeah, it's almost like fly fishing, you just cast and reel it back in and see if you get something. If you don't, whatever, I do have to mention the chat, though. Culture Trini said Adam Sandler got it all. Because they were paying him, like $30 million a movie for all those damn Netflix originals that he was doing?
Yeah.
$30 million per?
I believe so. Wow. Yeah, wow. And I mean, even with like Chris Rock and Chappelle, when they were doing those stand-up specials, they were paying them like 20, 25, like in that range per special for
the stand-ups
our comedy
are
special.
Pretty good.
That's
as
crazy.
Somebody who's performed, just I don't know how the fuck. It doesn't cost that much. You set up a couple cameras. You go to a live venue.
Mm-hmm. And you've been testing the material for a while anyway before you actually do the filming. So
the funny thing is, some people don't know this. The filming is actually, it's not one show. That's a combination of like 3 or 4 shows, and it's just edited to look like one steady stream.
You're a liar. You're a liar and a meanie and a liar. No.
How dare you pull back the curtain and inform me?
I mean, just kidding. Nothing. I was just kidding.
That Bo Burnham one though.
That just came out, didn't it?
Yeah, that's on point. And he did all of that himself. So that was a lot of cut takes and stuff, but he did the lighting and the music and everything. And it's actually a really, really good special. It's dark. It's very dark, the humor. But I would recommend it for people.
What do you mean by dark?
Well, it's dark in the sense of I'm talking about like someone
not enough
like,
lights.
Yeah, like it's happy go. Some people are expecting happy go lucky type thing. He really does go into, because he did a lot of that during a lot of the height of the.
Doesn't he film this during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, so and he's dealing with a really heavy depression during it too. Gotcha. So it comes through. It definitely comes through.
No shit. That's interesting.
I need to get on it. Everyone is just like screaming at me to watch it already. I'll make that. I'll watch it by next week, and we can talk about it next week.
Anything you caught up on this last week, Chauncey? Or the last 2 or 3 weeks? It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying I watched the volume 2 of Love, Death and Robots, which I put up on a review of that. I did not enjoy it. I was very disappointed with this one. I really loved the first volume, so I don't know what happened with this one. I felt like it wasn't a lot of variety in terms of the animation and stuff. I felt like a lot of it looked very similar to that whole it's real. It looks so real, but it's CGI kind of thing. And I'm not the biggest.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and I can like that look. I just don't like that it's the whole series when I just had a whole first volume that was so different with the contrast of different artists and stories. And so I did a review of that. And recently, I actually, yesterday, I watched the upcoming sci-fi thriller that will be dropping on Netflix. See what I talk about access? See, I'm still real with it. I actually watched, this movie is coming out this Wednesday. It's a Netflix original movie called Awake. And it deals with what would happen if humankind could no longer fall asleep. If there was some type of catastrophe that people couldn't fall asleep, though they need to fall asleep. So I'll have a review of that tomorrow when the embargo lifts, so people can look for that as well. So,
Chauncey, I have to ask Chauncey, did you watch Fried Berry?
No.
On Shudder? That shit is...
I haven't. I have so many... I feel bad. I have a lot of screeners from Shudder I actually need to catch up on because I just, things happen for me in the last couple of weeks. So there's so many things like, George Romero's amusement park is coming out.
Drops tomorrow.
Yeah. And I got that screener like a month ago. And I really did. I am still going to do a review of that too, though. I'm excited to see that. So I'll have it out as well for that one when I catch up to it. And I also watched the new Vivica A. Fox movie, Aquarium of the Dead.
Oh, yeah, we did a reaction.
What?
That's an amazing name.
Oh,
yes. No. And I will have a review for that this week as well.
Nice. One thing that I actually went to theaters to see, I think it was almost 2 weeks ago now, but since I missed the show last week, did you guys hear about the film Profile? So it was it's essentially one of those completely on a computer screen, similar to The Unfriended and Searching and stuff like that. But it's about this British journalist who basically acts like she is a recent convert to Islam, and she basically gets in this relationship trying to get information from this guy who is a terrorist leader. It is in theaters right now. I don't think it's available on VOD quite yet, but it was relatively captivating, I have to say. The director, I'm just trying to pull up his name, Timur Bekmambetov. I believe he did Wanted. And, he also did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He did Night Watch.
I love that movie.
Great foreign film. And so, it's another one of those, the whole film taking place completely on the screen, through like Skype calls and, internet searching and stuff like that. But it was pretty thrilling. And as far as like a psychological thriller goes, because she gets in way over her head in this film as she gets deeper into her kind of investigation. And it was impressive. I quite dug it. So.
I like him. He's a weird director. I like him. I might have to check that out.
What's it called again?
It's called Profile.
Profile. Okay.
Profile. Yeah. It's quite good.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
So
I was just gonna say, you highlighted Dice's thing saying it's not necessarily it's multiple animals that are zombies because it's at an aquarium. So
Dice.
Let your imagination go.
Zombie shark.
But see, that's the easy thing to go to of the sharks. But there's some other animals that are even more deadly if you think about it. If they were zombies,
a turtle.
Well, and there was that recent film called, and there was that recent film called Zombies, if you guys remember. So
Zombies, I didn't see that.
Something kind of similar. Sorry.
Zombievers is by far my favorite animal.
Oh, that one's hilarious.
Zombievers is so good. I love that movie, Zombievers.
Oh, the actress is a friend of the channel. Fuck, I forgot.
It actually takes itself seriously, though. I mean, Bill Burr is in it and stuff like that. So there's some real high stakes moments, but there's also a lot of hilarity in there. So I love that balance when a B movie doesn't just descend into, well, you're not going to take this seriously anyway, so we won't either. I don't really like that sometimes with B movies. And here's some tatas, that's sometimes what they descend into.
And there's your fair share of the Zombievers, if I remember correctly. So.
Well, yeah, but it works for the plot.
Well, it's kind of like Fuego, you and Cecil were talking about last night. Benny Loves You is a movie that is just fucking bad. It's like I said, somebody told me, oh, it's just British humor. And it's like, no, it's not good. I know, but Shaun of the Dead is extreme British humor. This is not that. This is just.
Yeah, I mean, Spaced is extreme British humor.
Right.
I love a lot of British humor. I've watched my fair
Monty
share.
Python, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't, just because you don't get it doesn't mean you get to say, oh, it's British. No, that's not the way it works.
Mighty Boosh, another very strange one that I quite like.
So let me ask you horror kids, because I'm trying my best to get away from that community. They don't like me. I don't like them. It's okay.
But we like you, dude.
There's a fair few that I quite enjoy. What is this constant resurgence of shark movies? Because I just saw on VOD there's another movie called Great White, and it's essentially it's Jaws.
Yeah.
I just think there's an appeal to it. I don't know. I don't know, actually. It's funny. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm more of a croc person, actually, when it comes to creature features. I actually like crocodile and alligator movies better. Like I'm more of a fan of that. But I don't know, maybe people just like sharks, and they like to see them in different situations. I'm not a fan. I'm more of a fan of crocodiles.
I was obsessed with sharks as a kid, man, utterly obsessed on anything from National Geographic videos that I was checking out at the library to whatever books I could find. And I still have an inherent fear of the ocean because there's so much shit in there that can kill you. And it's so ironic that Australia has some of the prettiest beaches in the world because you've got saltwater crocodiles, you've got sea snakes, you've got great white sharks, you've got box jellyfish, some of the most deadly waters in the world. So I don't know. I think just the added essence of water and the danger that it puts forth, I mean, it's going to be eternally appealable, I think.
I would appreciate a movie where a jellyfish is the villain. Give me that. It's
You
just
might like Aquarium of the Dead.
all right,
Oh.
killer turtle. There's just so much shark shit where it's just like, why is there so much of this?
I really don't know. Maybe there's just. I mean, also Jaws. I don't know.
Yeah. I like all of these movies, but I don't necessarily like them because they're sharks. Like, I love The Shallows from a couple years ago.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah, that's big budget.
Yeah, that's a good movie. And Sharknado is dumb fun. Like, who doesn't love to just watch sharks get chainsawed in half, even if your brain is completely off and basically dead as you're watching it? And then Deep Blue Sea. Who doesn't love watching Samuel L. Jackson die in Deep Blue Sea?
Oh no, there's hits. Like Open Water was an interesting take
Oh,
on a shark movie where it was kind of like a Blair Witch Project sort of approach to it. That's going back. Shit, it's got to be like 15 years ago now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just two people floating in the ocean,
Yeah.
arguing from what I remember. So not much else going on.
Like if there's a hunger for that, then so be it. That's awesome. But like it just seems like, Great White. I read it. I'm like, yeah, Jaws. This is Jaws. What else do we looking for? I
like Meg too.
Meg was that was a different take. I like that as
I
well.
like Meg.
The
Meg
Steve
was
Bolton book is, everybody always says the book is so much better. Damn, that book is fantastic. The movie left me wanting because it was originally supposed to be Eli Roth directing an R-rated film, and then they bring in that turtle top guide and PG-13s it up, and there wasn't the kind of carnage that I wanted. That carnage candy that Cody always mentions. So,
yeah, I'm not sure why sharks in.
Yeah.
Creature features are fun though.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
that could be it. It's like it's just so ground leveled and based and like relatable. Like you see, it's about a shark. All right, she's trapped in the thing and there's a shark. Or they're in an underwater facility and there's sharks. Okay, like it just instantly just grabs you. Like maybe you don't really need more
Lindsey,
than that.
you're not allowed to have comments on anything related to sharks. Sorry.
Okay, I'm trying to. Okay,
Mr. 1 million views.
Okay. Well, now who's plugging me? Okay, like now I feel like I'm getting plugged. All right, thanks, CP.
That's funny.
We have our own Grace Randolph, and it's Lindsey
Oh,
and about sharks. I love you, Lindsey. Go pick your head up. I'm just playing.
I'm trying to think of a good Grace Randolph reference to make. I couldn't think of one. Land Shark in the chat. Trini, Land Shark is a great bit from Saturday Night Live back in the 90s.
When he rings the doorbell.
Yeah.
It was back in the
That was
70s,
funny.
man.
That was funny.
Oh, my bad.
That was the 70s one is the one I like. Well, I wasn't around, but like when I see clips, they ring the doorbell. Who is it? And Slim Allen, it's like the shark.
Yeah, and it's the woman is like, "You're that shark, aren't you?" And he's like, "No, I'm a dolphin, ma'am." And then she's like, "A dolphin? Oh, okay." And then she opens the door and bam, hits her head.
So silly.
That's so good. I love that it's Chevy Chase too, just like flowers.
Yeah.
Right?
Candygram, ma'am. Candygram.
Anyway.
Mike in the chat asked, he's trying to look for a horror movie that he hasn't watched yet. It sucks when it seems like you all have. Anyone have any underground gems?
Ooh.
Dead Alive, also known as Brain Damage.
Holy fuck, that's going back.
Yeah.
That's still only 90s, though. So, but yeah, Dead Alive, man. It's the shit.
Dice brought up fucking Phantom of the Paradise. That's the 70s.
Dude, that is... I didn't discover that movie until a few years ago. This girl I was dating made me go to a revival screening of it, and it is awesome. It is awesome.
Yeah, my
very
uncle
memorable.
has that. I just haven't had it in me to go watch it. Trying to think, does it have to be recent horror?
I mean, I got my go-tos. It Follows, Sinister. I guess Sinister's kind of mainstream, even if it didn't really.
Mm-hmm. That It Follows soundtrack, Disasterpiece did such a great job with that.
Would you consider Honeydew
awesome.
a horror movie?
Yeah, I would.
Never saw it.
It just came out.
Speaking of people's kids, that has a Spielberg in it.
Mm-hmm. Spielberg's son. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing the press rounds trying to get some extra attention for it. So
Yeah.
I don't think it worked too well.
No dice. No luck.
Pandorum. Have you guys seen that?
Mm-mm.
it really kind of came
Sci-fi horror. Yeah, I just watched that like 2 weeks ago because it was a patron request. I saw that in theaters, man, and I forgot that Ben Foster's in that.
Right.
And what's his name? Oh goodness, the lead
Walking
actor.
Dead. Oh no, yeah, the lead actor too is Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
What is this about?
It's tough to mention without being a little spoilery, but there's like the last hope of humanity's spaceship going to this new planet to basically save humankind, and everyone's in cryo sleep, and a couple members wake up, and then it's trying to piece together what happened to all the other people that were on there, and they've kind of mutated, so to speak. So
it was Alien Covenant until that last sentence.
Yeah. Although this film's like long before that one, obviously. Covenant just ripped everything off. I couldn't stand that movie.
Yeah.
Mike.
It's kind of Alien Covenant meets Passengers in a way.
Yeah,
So
and also with a little bit of Doomsday, if you guys ever saw that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Doomsday's good stuff. Yeah.
Mike, $5 super chat. Thank you so much.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Glad to help.
I don't know if you have Netflix, Mike, but Chauncey did a review. You could check her channel down below. What is it called? It's like Buried, but it's a woman.
Oh,
Oxygen. I watched that. It's a French movie.
You know what? Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. I mean, like I said, it's not. It depends on what kind of horror you're into. Like if you feel like you want some jump scares or just something that can creep you out and kind of be like a really intense what if kind of thing.
It's claustrophobic as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. It really plays on that phobia. There's another phobia that deals with an animal, I think, if people
the
have
mice,
that sort of thing.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. So I would say check that out too. And it's like 2 hours, almost 2 hours. So it feels a little long at times, but I enjoyed it.
Well, one actor in one location, you kind of get tired of each other. But
exactly.
It's gnarly. I watch it and I enjoyed it. Again, French, make sure you have your subtitles on.
Or actually, the dub. Netflix automatically dubs it. So
right. I forgot.
Another one, a foreign one, Veronica, if that's still on Netflix.
Oh yes, good. Veronica was good. I did a review of that. Veronica was solid. It was a solid movie.
Yeah. It was like almost like their Blumhouse, but like in a way, but in a good way. Like I enjoyed it a lot.
I forgot Aja did Oxygen.
He did. Yep. Same guy who did Crawl, which is great if you haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, Crawl, yeah.
I was gonna say, speaking of croc horror. So.
Yeah, I love Crawl. I didn't even make that connection. I love Crawl. Yeah. I really enjoyed that movie. He does it very like straightforward, but he keeps the tension. It's so it's quality.
Yeah, very much.
Anything on the news front, Fuego?
I mean, not a massive amount. We did touch just kind of naturally a lot of different stuff. It's something that I saw. There's been rumored for a while that Rob Zombie is going to remake The Munsters, and apparently he confirmed
it. Yeah, he confirmed it
on his social media. I
can't wait to see The Munsters as Southern people from the 70s. I can't wait to see that.
It just makes me wonder where he's going to go with tone. Like, yes, he can do the campiness.
They're going to say motherfucker a bunch.
Yeah, I think from a visual standpoint, it makes sense, but not necessarily from a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah, they better have a different script.
Mm-hmm. So how much will they amp it up?
Rob Zombie has shown me nothing as far as outside of his comfort range. And his comfort range, we all are pretty well clear of. It's 70s yellow tinged looking deep fried Southern shit. Like, all right, cool. You got that covered. Can you expand a little bit?
That's why I like Lords of Salem so much, because it was the most different thing that, for me, he's made in his entire career. Now, it's not a perfect movie,
That's going way back, too, isn't it?
Yeah, I really dig Lords of Salem a lot. And it was him venturing out of his comfort zone a little bit. But I can already see where a Munsters film by Rob Zombie would be going, and I can't say I'm overly stoked about that. So,
do you think he'll play the song? Like, he has to play it.
Always re-record it himself? Probably.
Right. Well, the song Dragula, isn't that about the Munsters car?
It is, yeah.
Right? Like,
I would hope he doesn't feature that in the movie. Just the tone.
He will. Maybe a remix, like
cross
a redone
promotion
version.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I'm not a, I mean, I'm more of an Addams Family person than a Munsters person.
Same.
So I'm not, I'm, I've watched a few of the old episodes and things. I remember when back in what was the 90s when they were doing like the made for TV movies and stuff.
Yep,
So I
they
did
were on
see a
Fox,
few of,
yeah.
I did see like those and everything. So I don't know. I just feel like my question is, what rating are they giving him?
Biggest question. Yeah.
Who are they going to have this appeal to? I mean, we've seen recently that we've had, and you can't even assume like, well, of course it's going to be PG-13 and for the family, because we literally have a CW version of Powerpuff Girls coming that is totally like a little bit gritty, and they're grown up and shaking things off, And so, I mean, I don't know if they're going to maybe they'll do the same thing for the Munsters, which, I mean, they always have to make everything so gritty now. They did it with Archie and all this other stuff. So
Archer.
I was going to say, well, Archer's already,
Dude from Home Movies does such a great job with that voiceover work.
I'm just kind of, I'm curious, but I also, if it's rated R, I just worry there's going to be some like sexualized scene in there, like he inserted in Halloween and stuff, and it's usually like assault kind of sort of thing sometimes, and I'm just like, I don't want that in the Munsters. I couldn't stand that it was in Halloween because I thought it was so unnecessary.
Yeah, it has no place in that franchise. If they're making it to make money, they've made the absolute worst choice possible. If it's Rob Zombie who is coming forward and a passion project, that's one thing, but if they're trying to make as much money as possible, they're doing it all wrong, because Rob Zombie has no appeal to families, like none.
Donuts. Yeah, you're right. He said he's been trying to make this for like 20 years though. So I can't wait. He is petitioned.
So it is. It's him batting for himself and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wonder. But I know, are we supposed to be getting a Wednesday movie? We're getting a Wednesday movie.
It's series? A TV series, yeah, that Tim Burton's doing for Netflix, actually. And I know they just announced the actress, a Hispanic actress who's playing her. So I know I've seen her in something. I just can't recall what. But
Mike, $10 super chat, thank you. I watched A House of a Thousand Corpses for the first time about a week ago. It's not very good, but I can appreciate the uniqueness to it. Almost like a good movie to put on Halloween, kind of fun. Almost like a good movie to put on Halloween. It's kind of fun. House of a Thousand Corpses.
I know
I was actually about to rent that when it was like first out on DVD years ago, but I got talked into the person that was working at the Blockbuster to instead get House of the Dead. I never went back to that store again.
Oh, God.
That's a bad mistake.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. Seriously.
Indeed, man. Gracias.
Yeah, I mean, his Rob Zombie's early stuff is, when the Rob Zombie-ness of everything hasn't worn off yet. I mean, there's something to it. He's gotten continuous work for a reason. He's got a decent enough eye. It's just he's got to stop writing his own stuff. Like, it's really not good. His scripts are terrible.
Yeah,
I think it appeals to a certain type, type.
Trump
but like if you like, no, I don't even think it's just that. I just think if you like that kind of style, I didn't care for The Hills Have Eyes, that version. Especially the
2006.
I made the mistake of watching the unrated one, and I was just like, holy crap. I was just like, no. Like, what is this? It was just, I think it goes on very base stuff. And some people are into that, Like we were just talking about earlier, I'm more into like the ghosts and the supernatural and what's in the dark. Some people like, people getting their fingernails pulled off and getting close-ups of it. I mean, that would happen in Hostel. Like the first Hostel was someone's freaking fingernails and stuff, right? And that was huge. I didn't even know there's a Hostel 4, and that's on Netflix.
What?
It is. It's on Netflix. Hostel 4. I'm like, when was there a 4? What else?
When was there a 3?
Right?
Both 3 and 4 went direct to video, and Eli Roth was on just as a producer. He didn't direct anything after the second one. I just was never that into the torture porn subgenre.
Yeah.
So
I'm not, but that's a thing for people, just like the whole backwoods country, stereotypical, because that's not how all backwoods people are and things like that. But it plays into that. You have like. Wrong. I was just about to say you have wrong turn type of stuff. I mean, I feel like those are people who kind of mimicked what they thought the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was doing, and I think they missed the depth of it because Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't actually like making these people caricatures. It was playing on the idea of the place they found themselves in after Vietnam and you know, losing work, the meat houses closing. There was, you know, commentary there, and then a lot of other movies just took it like, isn't this cool? Backcountry, we fuck our sisters, like, you know, like that's
missing the messaging altogether. You're right.
Like
that happens a lot in horror. Like people don't see zombie movies as. I mean, George Romero has said this like so many times that the original what was it called? Night of the Living Dead. It was a commentary on capitalism, and they've constantly and people don't pick that up.
Also, race relations too, with what happens in the finale.
At the very end. Sure.
Yeah, it was always a deeper kind of aspect to it, and I don't mind when horror movies are a little bit, you know, shallow with it. I don't mind. Like I made the joke about tatas earlier, but you know, sometimes it can be fun. I mean, I've watched a trauma movie or whatever where it's like one of my fave ones was this one about chicken I watched recently. And this was someone where it was like some shit got in the chicken, and I liked it. I thought it was fun, but it's weird to me sometimes when people get weird about horror movies having depth to them and being like they're inserting stuff. I just think there's a way to do it, and you know, that's where it gets weird because some of them do bludgeon you over the head, for lack of a better term, with messaging, and it doesn't flow.
And that's where it's subtext, and you have to kind of handle it with a fine-tooth comb almost. You can't be that abrasive with it. And I think that more savvy filmmakers and especially writers, they can manage that.
Horror and comedy especially, you really need to be careful about. Because horror and comedy they're more of a niche genre. Like horror, a lot of people are just going to be scared. Comedy, people are just going to be, you know, they just want to laugh.
Yeah, it's like visceral reaction.
Right. So to you know, mix some other stuff into the batter, it gets a little dangerous.
But that's when it's the best.
Right. Well, sure. When it works. Yeah, when it works.
Yeah, when it works, it you know, typically works very well. So.
By the
Poultrygeist,
way,
is that what it's called?
Oh God, Poultrygeist.
Poultrygeist, yes, it was Poultrygeist. That was a wild ride. That music, it was really good. It was just a good movie.
I agree with Chauncey. A lot of those movies are an approximation of what they think Hooper's Chainsaw was. The trend started after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which isn't a coincidence. Sure.
Yeah, people jump on stuff. I know people say the same thing sometimes about Jason because it came after that, but like the sequel and everything. But I think Jason kind of came into his own eventually. I don't think he was just...
And that original Chainsaw Massacre, like, it's not a gratuitously violent film either. You know, a lot of stuff happens to characters off screen in comparison with when the gore factor started really being amped up in the 80s. And I mean, in the early 2000s too, with the Chainsaw remake, with Saw, with, you know, Hostel, stuff like that. So.
I agree.
What do you think is the reason for that surge in gore in the mid 2000s? Why did gore become so important?
I think it was Saw and Hostel, like the 1-2 punch, right? Like,
but you think about it. I mean, if you want to talk about like social parallels, we're 2 years removed from 9/11 when Saw comes out.
Yeah.
So
that might be it.
Really?
Something
maybe.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Like maybe we needed, or maybe it's like some kind of residual trauma for it or whatever, kind of gave people that kind of that willingness to endure something like that. Just maybe, like I said, just based off the trauma. Like, what was the song that was like number one on the charts, like not long after or immediately after or during 9/11? The Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Oh, God.
I actually like that song.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm not hating on it at all.
Drowning Pool.
It's a banger. It's catchy. It gets in your head. You know, yeah. I'll probably be humming it when I'm making dinner after we're done here. But I think when something big like that happens and there's a big loss of life and it's so public and it's so gratuitous, maybe that tapped into it. I could be completely overthinking it.
But I mean, then you also have
maybe it's the Iraq War in general.
Yeah, and also stuff like Guantanamo was going on at the time, so we were being made aware of torture that was going down, and some of these big, you know, like government and military facilities and stuff. So
Could it
I don't know
could
if
it
there
be
was inspiration
something?
there.
Could it be something like, all right, the news is just so gritty and real. We can't go back to off-screen deaths. We need to, we're all grown-ups now with what's going on around us. Might as well.
Yeah,
just,
we're all hardened from what
Yeah.
we've seen on the TV screen. Shit.
it is strange.
I think there was certain, like, people also maybe at that time got desensitized from stuff that wasn't
Yes.
showing, because the news was showing, like you all said, the news was showing us stuff that was a bit more intense. So it was like, I mean, the regular news, the whole point is like, maybe the regular news shouldn't scare you more than what a horror movie is supposed to do. So maybe that's why we have to take it to that, I guess. But yeah, I think it definitely probably coincided with what was ever happening at the time. I think that's why maybe in a way the Conjuring universe came back into kind of, to me, I saw with the Conjuring universe a return to, I sometimes call it wholesome horror, but I don't really mean wholesome. I just mean people like, it has a little hope in there. There's some scary things that go bumping night. It's a little bit more fantastical. And I think maybe it's because at this point, people are tired of the regular gritty reality and they want something that's a little different from
I remember
what
watching
we see on the news.
I remember when I watched The Conjuring for the first time, I was like, oh, okay, we're back to like being scary, not, being freaked out. It was a major step and a pivot for, big budget horror that I absolutely agree with you. There was some sort of turn with the first Conjuring because it made so much money, it did so well. And it was well made.
Yeah, and there's that message of love.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, and there is a message of love at the core of pretty much all three of those Conjuring films, and they're not mean-spirited horror like you saw in the 2000s for quite a while. I mean, with the torture porn, that's just just trying to get a rise out of you, trying to upset you, as opposed to scare you, and then there is a light at the end of the tunnel sort of situation. It's not as bleak in the storytelling, I think. So
right.
I mean, it also went along with how comic books was going, right? Like which one was it when they did that, the Superman? That might have been the 90s. But for a time in comic books, especially DC and Marvel and things, it was a little bit, well, DC more so, and then like I think it was like more nihilistic, like superheroes actually fell. They didn't always
kill
win.
Superman in the 90s or something like that?
They did, and that was when comic books started going a little bit more in the nihilistic kind of way. And I do think you saw that in horror movies too. Like Fuego was saying, it was just like this thing of there's not a happy ending and things like that. That's why, although I know Ari Aster with some of his stuff has caught on a bit, I just hope that's not I hope that doesn't become a trend, because I'd rather not see a return to everything's crap and all people are crap and we're all just gonna die. Like, I'd rather not see a return to that for horror. I think we're in an inspiring time in a way.
I think we need a blend of both. Like, sorry, I totally.
Go ahead.
No, I honestly think we need a blend of both, because when you do have that bleak kind of Twilight Zone twist, like negative ending sort of thing, that can be very effective and very cathartic. But yet I do still like to see a triumph of good at the end of the day, since I do, feel that we have to kind of focus upon that in art at times, so that people aren't as inherently gravitating towards being nasty people themselves in the real world. Because, if you see the bad guy winning all the goddamn time, it's gonna, I think, make people more inclined to embrace their inner evil.
You might want to avoid Halloween Kills this fall.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, speaking of Batman, you guys see that photo of the yellow suit with the blood splattered on it? That,
no.
Andy Muschietti tweeted out. Yeah, just because they actually started filming on this new Flash, and it was the final confirmation about Michael Keaton's Batman returning, which I'm very, very excited about. So.
Yeah, he's my fave.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I'm definitely.
Wait, what is it now?
So it was on his Instagram account, I believe. Yeah,
I can't get Instagram on this damn thing. Andy
I'm gonna post a
Muschietti?
link in the chat.
Oh, did you?
Okay. It's
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the classic yellow logo that Keaton wore in the '89 film, and it's got a little splatter action going on, just to confirm his presence and that they started filming, which is exciting.
Splatter action, I love it.
Yeah.
Little splish splash.
See if I can
Taking a bath up on a Saturday night.
Hell yeah.
And then also Issa Rae getting added as voicing Spider-Woman for the Into the Spider-Verse sequel is pretty dope. So that's another exciting casting.
Get out of the way, Hyundai.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I'm interested to see how she does voice acting. I'm not a big fan of her voice, so I don't know. So we'll see.
Well, also while we're doing the show here, it got announced that some dude is going to be Namor, the Marvel version of Aquaman in the Black Panther 2.
Oh, well, that kind of makes sense. They did tease the Namor when they were talking about the earthquakes and oh goodness, was it one of the Avengers films or was it? Damn, I'm trying to remember. I know it was one of the MCU films where they kind of teased his emergence eventually happening, but
I do vaguely remember that. Yeah.
And then Christina Ricci is apparently in Matrix 4. That was another thing that I wanted to bring up.
Really?
Yeah, she is apparently.
I haven't seen her in a dog's age.
Coming on as a new character, so that's interesting.
I'm down for that. I love me some Ricci.
I got a funny feeling that that's just gonna come and go. It's been so long.
Maybe.
True.
I do. I'm one of those guys that actually defends the sequels, so I'm really excited.
I like the second one. The third one.
It's just been so long, though. Like, why? What is with these making sequels 20 years after the fact? Shit, like it's
because money, I guess.
I mean, iCarly is getting a remake, right?
What?
So, Rugrats got a remake, so I mean, why not?
What's old is new, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, they're trying to make a second Wedding Crashers right now. I was just reading.
Are
Owen
they?
Wilson's like, yeah. Owen Wilson was like, yeah, we have a script and we're trying to refine it right now. And I'm just like, Wedding Crashers of all things? I mean, it's a funny movie. The Will Ferrell cameo is probably the funniest bit in the entire
meatloaf.
Yeah, Mom, the meatloaf.
We're getting Hocus
What's
Pocus
she doing up
too.
there?
It's just,
It's,
I mean,
they're all like 20 years after the fact. It's just so strange.
I think that's the goal. You have to do like the 20 or 25 year anniversary, and then you return to a franchise
All right, so
and see if it's still viable.
We're due a faculty sequel then.
Yeah,
we are.
And then you can bring your own kids to it, and
somebody asked if we've seen the new Blomkamp trailer.
Yes.
Oh,
I watched
Dumont.
it with the sound off just right now. It looks pretty good.
Okay. What is it about?
Take it, Fuego. Do you know anything about it?
To the best of my knowledge, he filmed it during the pandemic, so it's a very minimalistic cast, kind of similar to what Ben Wheatley did within the Earth, but it's got kind of a VR-ness to it, if I'm not mistaken, as you can kind of see from the trailer. It's this woman going through an experimental process, and she gets like wired into a virtual environment and maybe a ghost in the machine, demon in the machine sort of situation. But he's been pretty scant on the details about it. It was a secret project that he didn't even announce until a couple months ago. And he's like, oh yeah, I have this new movie. You know, it's done. So, yeah.
He's had an interesting go of it. He's another one that while his movies are kind of different, they're all kind of similar too.
Yeah.
Well, they certainly look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, he has a distinctive kind of visual approach.
Mm-hmm. What was that, Lindsay? What is this?
I did like they rhyme in a way. Like you can kind of see them all taking place, if not the exact same.
The same
world.
universe, yeah.
Right. Yeah, in an interesting way. Like I did not like the second one, Elysium, I think it was called, but I love me District 9.
Oh, Matt Dillon.
Chappie.
Yeah, Chappie. I thought I was
fun.
gonna hate Chappie because of the Diane word or D Antwoord or whatever, but
Antwoord?
Yeah, I actually like Chappie, man. It hit me in the feels a little more than I was anticipating. So
100% the same. I went in just thinking like I'm not gonna like this, and they came out going, "Oh my god, Chappie!"
Yeah, and then those crimes. And those Oats Studios shorts that he did, like Zygote, were really rad status. They're all available free online, if I'm not mistaken. It was just weird experimental little sci-fi horror short films that he made a series of. I think 3 or 4, maybe 5, something like that. So good stuff.
So Doug has heard that there's a Lethal Weapon coming out. Anybody else heard anything like that?
They're saying there is a 5th one in development. It was confirmed by Danny Glover and by Mel Gibson. So
they're coming back?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Now they just got to bring back Chris Rock and Rene Russo and twist Joe Pesci's arm.
Joe Pesci and Jet Li. Did he die? Wait, Maybe
I
not
think
Jet Li.
I think Jet Li's still around.
Jet Li's still around.
No.
He's
His
fine.
character.
Oh.
Because he was only in that one installment, from what I remember. Dude, I am a Lethal Weapon 4 defender. That's one of the most fun in that entire franchise.
I was simply under the impression that we lost Jet Li at the end of the film. His character. That's all I meant. I wasn't putting any shade or anything on it. Are we good for news? Are we
Yeah, I
all
think
wrapped up for the week?
we hit pretty much all the bases. So
Okay. Chauncey, what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm doing, people can look out for my review of Awake, the upcoming sci-fi thriller about what would happen if mankind could not fall asleep, and what would happen to them. I have a review coming tomorrow in the afternoon in anticipation for the movie dropping on Netflix on Wednesday. And I will also be doing weekly episode reviews of Loki each Thursday with my brother. We did WandaVision, for those who might have seen my that on my channel. My brother and I, Damon, we did WandaVision, so we're doing Loki, so people can look out for that. He also has a channel with my boyfriend called Fried Disciples. So if you are a partaker of that herb sort of life, they watch the type of things, and they're starting, their stuff. So it's kind of a cross thing. And I'll also have a review of Skull the Mask, which is on Shudder right now, which is a Brazilian/American film that deals with a pre-Columbian god that comes back in the form of a mask, and it's really 80s/gore horror. It's on Shudder, and I'll have a review of that this week, along with Aquarium of the Dead.
Vivica A. Fox's grand resurgence.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm thinking Aqua now, like Barbie Girl and King.
Right? I keep
and all
wanting
that
to
stuff.
call it Aqua of the, and I'm like, no, it's Aquarium.
I mean, I'd watch Aqua of the Dead, where the water is dead and zombified and like just
Spanish
fucking people
language.
in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Skull the Mask is pretty violent from what I remember. I saw it way early in the year when it was on the festival circuit. I think Chattanooga back in February of last year I saw it. But
I don't even know if it's violent, if just not more so gory. It's very 80s
gory.
practical effect gore. I know there was a debate in the chat of gore. If you love gore, you will love Skull the Mask. It is so gory, and it does have this kind of 80s. Yes, it does have a very 80s style, a lot of practical effects in that sense. So there's other things that are lacking, but if you're there for that, you'll love it.
Yeah, and you've got kind of a cop procedural thing going on too. So it was enjoyable for a slasher. So we just, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast here, we put up, myself and Lady Catherine, a review of Cruella, where we gave our total honest and unbiased opinions on that one. I also filmed a review of Rat the Band that I'm going to throw up at some point this week. And then I'm also going to be taking in the new John Chu movie that comes out this weekend, which is called In the Heights. It's a musical from the same guy who did Hamilton. And on the horror show, we have reviews of the recent Conjuring and Quiet Place 2. And then lastly, tomorrow is going to be my personal thoughts on Hail to Stephen King about the new Apple TV Plus show, Lisey's Story, based on the Stephen King book. So,
Awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Lindsey.
I'm still up here in Napa, still just chilling. I've got a couple of
drinking
scripts. Oh, so much wine. I just like right into the vein, like not even bothering wearing glasses. I've got a couple of scripts I'm trying to smash out here, so I can try and get some content going again. But yeah, like we mentioned, I'm doing a little bit better than I used to be, so I got lots of stuff you guys can go check out. Good times over on My 2 Cents of Nonsense right now.
Yeah, it's nice to see you getting a little kick in the ass with the attention. It's just strange. If I would have bet money, I would have never, ever thought it was something.
I do not understand
silly.
it, but I love it. Like,
Listen,
because he's a fun character, and I'm fine with making dumb content. Exactly.
He's a shark. So.
And like, I still want to do a video about the movie that glorified the King Shark as a shark line, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, even if that's like the most wordy title ever, and I kind of hate it. But it's a fun movie, so I do want to talk about that at some point. And that game that he's going to be in, if that ever comes out, I think it's next year. So
Jesus.
I'll try and get something out
How
between now
quickly memes become things.
and then. Right?
Over
What
here,
about you? What you got going on?
I still no camera, but if I can get Fuego to watch A Killing of Two Lovers.
Yeah.
What else are we supposed to? Killing of Two Lovers.
There was another one that you had mentioned that I didn't recognize the title. It was like Doug or Dust or
The Dry.
the Dry. Yeah, I knew it was something with a D. Yeah.
If you need access to that, I will get you in touch with my uncle.
That is one that I'm not familiar with, so send it my way.
Yeah. So nothing immediate here on the channel, but maybe Rent and Rant soon. I haven't forgot about UCP in my life. It's just set me back. I'll get them to you. Oh yeah, no rush, Doug. Thank you. So just keep an eye out. Everybody's links are down below. By all means, if you want present and current content, you're going to want to hit Chauncey, Fuego, and Lindsey's channel. Certainly not mine. Anytime recently. So until next time, which should probably be next week at some point. I have been CP. So does anybody have anything to send us off with?
Go Suns.